So welcome to the 11th year of Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is. This year we have got 4 fabulous pitches, and we have a new host, star of the #1 Sky Kids show. Everybody give it up for the fabulous MC Grammar!
Wow. Now that's an intro. Thank you so much for having me. How are we feeling? Feeling good? Lovely. We're going to get things warmed up. I'm going to teach you how to beatbox. Are you ready? There's always a learning with MC Grammar. Everyone say the word boom. Man, you got some bass there, bro. Now you're going to make your lips a little bit tighter. So it's like this. Boom. Wicked. And then really, really tight, you should get this. We'll try that again. Good. Right. Ish. It can only get better though, right? Let's be honest. Now, we're going to say the letter T like this. That was so much better. Thank you so much. I was actually going to quit on boom, but we'll carry on. Again, let's see 4 times now. All right. Now we're going to say the letter K. Can you make it really tight so you get the... Put it together, say BTK. Okay, keep going. Yeah. I'm coming back to back. Yo. Let's try again. You got this. What? Oh my gosh. You weren't expecting that. All right. Should we go on to level 2? Pardon? Should we go on to level 2? Okay. Everyone put your hand like this. Put your ear to your shoulder like a DJ. Someone's taking a photo of me right now. Just hold. You got it? Cool, all right. And now you're gonna go, Buddha, Buddha, Buddha. Say it. With tight lips, so it's with the hand as well. Now you're gonna put it with a beat and we're gonna go like this. Your turn. All right. Stick to making television, all right? Thank you very much. All right. We are warmed up. It's time to be all official now. I've been told to calm down. We're on a timer. So, the vibe is right. My name is MC Grammar. It's a pleasure to be here. You know, I've been in this situation before pitching. You know, you can be nervous, so we need to give some real positive energy. So we'll make some noise to the pitchers in the house right now. You know, this could be just that magic moment that changes their whole life, and every one of us in here is supporting you, 100%. We want it to happen. So just be yourself. It could be a moment in history. It could be the next big thing. But before we get out into that, I need to give a shout out to our sponsor for Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is, NBC Universal Global Distribution. Super grateful for all of your support for Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is. You're absolute legends. Can we make some noise for NBC Universal Global Distribution? All right. We're good to go now. How are we feeling? Good? Ready to see this? All right, but before we do that, we need to meet our VIPs, the wise ones, the OGs in the media game. They're experienced. They're going to give us some knowledge and empower us today. Give it up for our judges, Vanessa Brookman, Chris Rose, and Sarah Muller in the house. Yes. Okay. All right. Keep it going, keep it going, keep clapping. Yeah, you take a... Look at that. Wow. Don't they look good? Make some noise for our judges. And we're going to get to know our judges throughout the session with some facts about them. This is something that I thought of because I want to get to know you guys too. And first of all, we are going to get to know Vanessa.
Exciting for you all.
Did you know that Vanessa is currently learning how to play the drums? And then next year, CMC, she will be here. Okay. What? On the mic? You done? Are you done? I'm coming. Listen, I'm not biased or anything, but this is the best put your money where your mouth is I've seen. I'm not going to lie. Joking. They're all great. They're all amazing. It's a fantastic opportunity. And now it's time to introduce our first pitch. Are you ready?
Yes!
Okay. DJ, run the track.
Let's get ready to rumble!
It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you, ladies and gents, Tom, Getty, and Fiona McLaughlin, and their awesome creation. Come up here, guys. It's your time to shine. Give them some love. Make some noise. Yes. This is your stage. There's your clicker.
So, hi folks, my name is Fiona.
And I'm Tom, and we're the founders of Taunt. So Taunt is a CG animation studio based in Belfast, where we try very hard to make very, very nice things. And one of the things that we make is, you want to click? Dust Valley. So yeah, this is a show we want to talk about. So Dust Valley is a CG animated kids series aimed at the 6 to 9 demographic. Its format is 26 by 11s. It's a show, and it's a show we wanted to make for a really long time. It comes from chatting about what we loved watching growing up and what we related to the most, and trying to sort of recreate some of that. So it follows 11-year-old space orphan Snorkel, who crash lands in Dust Valley, a sleepy desert town filled with unbelievable creatures. Her weird and wonderful new friends help her try and find a way home. The series is full of action, adventure, and comedy, with a lot of heartfelt character growth at its core. So yeah, we'll do a little look at the introduction to Snorkel in this world. So this is what a bit of the pilot episode will look like. So this is Snorkel arriving in Dust Valley. So here she is, minding her own business in her orphan relocation pod. She's kicking back, she's relaxing. Did she listen to any of the instructions on how to do this? No, she did not. But she's got this, it's fine. An alarm starts to go, she freaks out, she pulls levers, she slams buttons, everything stops, she's fine. She thinks to herself, I'm incredible, I've got this, all good. Then, without warning, the pod drops from the sky, its path has been interrupted, she spirals through the air like a single sock in a washing machine, just hurtling around, crashes into the earth, door swings open, and out she pops. Yeah. And out she crawls, face down in the sand. Before looking up, she pulls out from her pocket a photo of her new family, her new life that should be waiting for her. You know, her parents should be there, arms outstretched, running towards her in slow motion. But instead, she sees a bunch of really, really odd-looking creatures smiling and waving at her. And that is her response to this situation. So,
And that is how the gang is formed. Snorkel, and
oh, yeah.
and outside on the planet she's not supposed to be in with her new friends, Yeti, Hex, Totem Trio, and Scruff. They all work together to help her find her way home, while the overarching story of the series is to fix Snorkel's space pod and get her back on her journey. We see the gang grow through their friendships they share and the lessons they teach each other. Together, the gang learn to find their place in the world, and perhaps Snorkel will come to realize that the family she's found is right in front of her all along. So, an intro to our cast. This is Snorkel, our main character. She's the de facto leader of the gang, and she'll run as fast as she physically can towards any problems, adventures, and mysteries. She's the only human in the town, so she feels like a bit of an outsider and struggles to accept that she's found friends that really, really do care about her. Impulsive, stubborn, and notorious for not learning from her mistakes. Next up, there's Yeti. He's the reluctant vice leader of the gang. His sensitivity and his empathy make him the emotional backbone of the group and the yin to Snorkel's yang. He can be overly cautious and struggles to speak his mind, but mostly he's happy to be coaxed out of his comfort zone. And then there's Hex, a reptile with an almost impenetrable mask of cool. She's kind of like that person you see on Instagram that you can't help but compare yourself to, but underneath it, she's anxious as she is asthmatic. And oh yeah, she's also exists inexplicably in the second dimension. And then Trio are simultaneously the weirdest and smartest creatures in the town. They're just keeping that under wraps for now. And then last but not least is Scruff, an unpredictable and chaotic ball of energy. He knows danger when he sees it, and he likes it.
So yeah, a bit about the world. So Dust Valley, it's a small, harmonious town filled with all these weird and wonderful creatures. It's thrived for centuries, with each species taking on different tasks that keep the town just ticking over. The only problem is that not everyone fits into the mold, and Yeti, Hex, Trio, and Scruff have always found it to be pretty dull. So they've all been waiting for something to turn their mundane day-to-day lives on its head, and that comes in the form of Snorkel hurtling through space, dragging them semi-willingly from adventure to adventure. And that's a couple of the other sort of crew.
And then lastly, just on the stories. So inadvertently, every episode, the gang get themselves into a whole bunch of miscellaneous adventures, whether it's, there we go, Snorkel or Scruff eating a bee and swelling to the size of a shed, or other things that happen in the
Lots of
town.
very fun stuff happens, and it's great. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Please make some noise. Please make some noise.
That was very scary.
But over.
How'd you feel?
Yeah.
So pretty
Sweating.
good. Yeah, pretty good.
I loved it.
Thank you.
But it's not up to me. It's up to our crew over here. Do you want to start?
I'll start, yeah. Thank you very much to start with. I think the characters in particular are really unusual and beautiful, and I haven't seen them before. You actually ran out of a bit of time on the stories, and it's one thing that I was going to ask, because I think the series arc is really clear. You've got this girl who's trying to get home, and she meets a bunch of people along the way and starts to create her own family. But what do you see happening in a kind of episode-by-episode basis to make sure that there's enough individual episode excitement and entertainment beyond just the overarching narrative arc?
Yeah, like I think the core driving force is that sort of repairing the space pod, and they'll go to different parts of the town and talk to different people to try and find the tools they need to fix the ship that they don't really know what they're doing. So they always go from A to B with a very sort of specific mission in mind, but then get massively derailed along the way and have...
Yeah, I think one of the storylines we have at the moment is they go to a scientist, and the scientist is studying this plant, and the plant is has once in 100-year bloom, and the bloom kind of has a toxic spillover and makes the whole town dance uncontrollably, and they kind of have to figure out how do we, in order to fix the spaceship, we need to stop everyone dancing because it's kind of mad. So that kind of tone and humor will be kind of in each episode.
Yeah, and with them finding themselves and their confidence as they go, they sort of prove their worth to the town as well. So.
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah, well done. Great to see. I really like the character design. I think that's really great. I'd love to know a little bit more about your influences for the comedy, and what tickles your fancy, and how are you going to push this through in the show, and whether you think it actually might be something that could serve a slightly older audience, maybe 9 to 12 audience.
Yeah, to be honest, we've been sort of flip-flopping a little bit on that specific age range, trying to work out what the perfect group is for it, because we, as a studio, we've sort of worked on comedic short films, and we love making that humour that we love as well, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think we're looking for kind of the right writing talent, I think, to help kind of find the right voice for the kind of comic style for this to kind of take a bit more shape.
Really great presentation, and I was jotting down notes of things I wanted to ask you, and then you answered them. So great.
That's good news.
I think I'd like to dig in a bit more, or I'd like to see in the future a bit more character development about how they react with each other, because that is what's going to drive your comedy for sure. Yeah. So what are those little logistics and frictions between them, and what do they all want? And then I was going to ask you about the writing, which you just started to mention. What is your plan? How are you going to approach it? Because I think for something like this, it's going to be very, very important.
Yeah, we're trying to sort of find writing talent at the moment. Historically we've written everything ourselves, so we're now like opening the doors to other people. But what was the first point you made?
No, it was just saying like the characters need a bit more development. You need to understand how they're going to interact, because that will drive your comedy. And obviously, it's wonderful you write your own stuff, but writing 52 episodes will be absolutely
quite a bit. Yeah.
You, sadly.
No, we've lots of ideas. We've been workshopping and how they all interact. It's kind of hard to squeeze it all into this, but that we see them all kind of ticking a slightly different personality type that kids can kind of relate to, and in that they teach each other things about themselves and about each other through that. But yeah, that's something to keep exploring.
Yeah, so yeah, we're in the very kind of early stages of development at the moment. It's been a project that's kind of been in the background for a number of years that we've been taking over with, but we've just got some development funding with RT is on board to kind of support the project. And yeah, we are aware that writing is something that we really want to make a very strong point in the show, and that's something that we're looking out for. So if there's any writers for this genre.
Our email things.
Yeah.
Great, thanks for the feedback, judges. Can we make some noise for Tom and Fiona? Wow, amazing. We're keeping it moving. We are keeping it moving in here. It's time for pitch number 2. How are we feeling? Having a good time? Enjoying it? All right, come on. How are we feeling? Having a good time? Enjoying it? Let's keep those energy levels up. They feel the vibes that we give them, right? Okay, it's time for pitch number 2. Please welcome to the stage, Tito Olawole, please. Come to the stage, Tito. You ready? Feeling good?
Sure, I'm cool.
Good, so time starts now.
Oh, snap. All right, hello CMC, my name is Tito. I'm a creator and animator, and basically one of my ideas made it to the final 8 of BBC Ignite, and it was an amazing time. Thank you, Sarah. So I'm here today pitching another idea, and it's called Zeal of Zeon. 3 teenagers receive a mysterious invite to join a beta test for a new online music action game. Little do they realize once they enter, there's no way out. The series will track 3 who are pitted against each other and other musicians as they also try and fight an evil AI determined to escape into the real world by taking over a musician's body. Of course, for our heroine, Zeon, the stakes are even higher because she knows nothing about music. So, enter into a world where music is magic and musicians are trapped, fighting for their very lives in this bizarre anime-inspired fantasy adventure, Zeal of Zeon. Oof. Okay. Inside the game, a magic is created by playing musical instruments, and everyone is assigned a different random ability, which is used to fight during musical battles. And if they lose, it's game over permanently. So can Zeon survive in a world full of musical prodigies when she is the only amateur player? And who or what is this puppet master who has orchestrated this musical fight for survival? Now, despite these intense stakes and somewhat edgy premise, this doesn't faze Zeon at all. She's like being stuck in a fantasy world, living inside a video game. This is the dream. Gaming has always been her escape and her safe space. Space. All she wants is to explore this magical world and have fun, and maybe inadvertently face her long-time fears of learning music in the process. Thankfully, she has a legendary ability to create earthquakes with her drumming. She just needs to figure out how to actually drum. And hopefully this will keep her away from the crazy musicians she meets. One of them being Tiernan. He is a certified musical genius and music snob. He's been playing since the age of 3 and is completely devoted to the study, practice, and performance of music. Literally nothing else matters. So it makes no difference to him playing in a real world or virtual reality game. Either way, he plans to come out on top. Unfortunately, he's stuck with the most basic magic type in the entire game, the ability to conjure balls out of thin air. So tennis balls, basketballs, a bowling ball, you name it, and he can make it appear. The absurdity of this setup forces Tiernan to team up with his childhood friend and Zeon if he hopes to win the game. So Wing is Tiernan's childhood friend. He's the laid-back one and has always wanted a simple and easy life. Too bad for him, he's also a people pleaser, and his natural talent for the piano constantly drags him into the limelight. So you'll find him quietly muttering about why sleeping or writing Korean K-drama and fan fiction is more important than what he's about to get dragged into. So these three teenagers find each other and form a band to achieve their goals and make their way through this new world they find themselves in. So join Zeon and her band Zeal of Zeon on a fantastical musical action adventure where free phonics meets the Hunger Games, but with a Jumanji twist. As with Jumanji, these characters are stuck in the game for 90% of the series. It's a medieval fantasy game, but with modern game mechanics similar to Fortnite. Like the Hunger Games, the challenges and dangers don't just come from the other players, but from the creatures and the environment and the real villain, the AI pulling the strings in the background. And like free phonics, music is the only way to deal with the danger. So each episode would contain original music as the players activate their magical abilities through battles, by composing and improvising songs. And the focus is on instrumental genres like prog rock, jazz, folk, Afrobeats, lo-fi, you name it. Sitting at the intersection of music, games, and anime, this show uses VR and online gaming to explore themes such as friendship, the power of music, overcoming anxieties, and the topic of talent versus hard work. At the core is a story about the resilience of a young girl on the road to achieving her dreams. A typical episode would focus on a beginner musician's problem with a gaming solution and explore the character and band dynamics as the comedy and tension of their vastly different personalities are weaved throughout the story. So a bit about me, I love music. I grew up in a musical family playing 7 instruments. I'm a huge anime nerd and I loved Japanese video games as a teenager. So this idea really hits a lot of areas close to my heart, but beyond that, I'm hugely passionate about seeing multicultural casts of characters, which I know young people crave. So yeah, this is a really exciting pitch and I hope you guys liked it.
Wow. Yes, Tito, you did it. You did well. Listen to my heartbeat. I was nervous for you. Listen to my heartbeat. Listen to yours. Chilled. See how chilled that is? No pulse. Love that. Okay. We're moving on swiftly now to our judges. Are you ready to feedback? Can we start with Chris this time?
Yeah, sure. Well done. That was brilliant.
Thank you.
Nice. When we're looking at pictures, we're often thinking, oh, you know, that sits in that genre, that sits in that genre. That's really genre bending. So, you know, it's fab. Hunger Games meets Britain's Got Talent, I reckon.
I'll remember that.
So obviously music is really, really important. How much music do you foresee in each particular episode? Because it's brilliant, don't get me wrong. There are, you know, obviously considerations that we have to think about when we're making shows for translation into 35 different languages.
Okay, so I really like the basically the structure of Steven Universe. It's 11-minute episodes as well, and they also feature music in it a lot. So I would say the music could be anything from 30 seconds, 45 seconds, like maximum a minute and a half. And the idea behind that as well was that it's like a transmedia approach to storytelling. So actually the fights would feel like music videos that we can put out on socials and that basically young people can engage with and kind of try and figure out, okay, what's the story behind that, and kind of watch an 11-minute episode to like figure that out. So yeah, it wouldn't be anything longer than a minute and a half.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks.
Sarah, do you want to go?
Really well done. Very well thought through, well paced, looks great. It's got a strong story arc. What are the stakes within the world? What will happen if they don't complete? They won't get out?
So they're kind of forced to compete in battles quite regularly. So the episode, it could be a battle that we're kind of following and we kind of understand each side and kind of why it's important for them to kind of win. If they don't win the battle, they basically are trapped within a non-playable character in the game. So they kind of start to figure out as the series goes on that no one goes home, even if they lose. Okay. And then also it's basically the AI villain that's trying to use one of them to escape into the real world. So actually it's kind of like, even though they're trying to fight to win, the winner won't really win at all.
Okay, and what do you think the potential is for a second series? Because I think we do all need to think in those terms now. What would that look like?
So again, I really love the structure of Sword Art Online. It's an anime that basically follows teenagers and people that are trapped within the game. And the second season usually features the impact of, we're trapped in a bubble with them inside the game, and so the second season starts with the impact of that and when they go back to their real lives, but also going back into the game to fight the same villain that's kind of trying to take over other games. And so then it's linked to like a big organization and a corporation and a kind of like whole agenda that they have to try and take down as kids. So that would be the idea for the second season.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations from me as well. I think you definitely created a really compelling visual world. It's amazing. Have you worked with a particular studio? I'm really interested to know, actually.
No, this is early development, all done by myself, and I would love to find a co-development partner, writers, artists to work with to keep developing it further.
Incredible achievement. I think,
Thank you.
again, I think it will be interesting because there's so much going on in the world, and I was going to also ask about the jeopardy and the stakes, but also the characters. I think it would be great to understand the dynamic between them and how their different characteristics and skills and abilities really progress the drama and the action.
So one of my favourite things basically about Zeon, she's quite one-track minded and also has selective hearing. So she'll basically get fixated on something and then tune everything else out, whereas Tiernan is basically a know-it-all and likes the sound of his own voice. So imagine him trying to teach her the drums and she's like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting, and basically starts to tuning him out while he's telling really important information. Now imagine that in like a Pokemon battle and the other opponent is coming at you and you need to kind of like do something immediately, and it's kind of like we have Wing who doesn't really want to be a part of it all but kind of steps in to protect his teammates and also stop them from bickering and try and actually get none of them to basically die. So that kind of thing. It's the comedy.
Thank you.
Can we make some noise again for Tito? Yes.
Thank you.
It's time for a fact about a judge. Chris. The world is going to get to know you now. Chris is a massive Doctor Who fan. Anyone like Doctor Who in here? Yes. And also Neighbours, right? Neighbours.
I'm so excited they're both coming back. This is like the best thing ever.
There you go. Just learned something new about our judge there. Now, moving on. Time is ticking. Without further ado, Stephen. Cavalier's in the house. Here he comes.
Hello. So in 2016, Barack Obama said, if you had to choose a moment in history to be born and you didn't know ahead of time who you'd be, you'd choose now. You wouldn't choose any time in the past, you'd choose now. Hold that thought, its relevance will become clear. Okay, I'm Stephen Cavalier. I'm an animator, director and writer, mostly for kids' TV and games. And I wrote that book about the history of animation in the middle there. A few years ago, I created Badger and Boson's Adventures in Reality. And it's a comedy sci-fi series idea for preteens and outwards with an accompanying game world. It was partially inspired by some of me and my kids' favorite shows like Gumball, Adventure Time, regular shows, SpongeBob, games like Mario Galaxy and Minecraft, and by some of my own experiences growing up in British suburbia. I wanted to create a kind of British version of these genius ideas, a thing with originality, heart, and wit, something which was both contemporary and futuristic. Not futuristic in a cliched sci-fi way, but anchored in a reality kids can relate to, while exploring surreal possibilities that future tech might offer. An idea that says something positive about the exciting world we live in now, and about all the ways this world is better than the past. Especially now, post-pandemic, as mental health and anxiety issues are widely reported in kids. We need to stop telling kids how scary the world is and regurgitating the same old dystopian ideas about the future and then wonder why they hide inside in front of screens. We need instead to be telling them that their world is a hugely exciting adventure game where you write your own story and in the future, anything is possible. Because if we're always bathing in nostalgia, we are again giving a slightly depressing view about the present and the future. So my ambition is to give kids a new original idea they can own and be excited about, an idea that seems to come from the future, not the past. So this is the story of two friends, an innocent love story of an odd couple. Pushing against each other's different personalities, they travel between suburban teen reality, crazy digital worlds, and surreal alternate universes. We experience it mainly through the eyes of Badger, naturally cautious but also curious and bright. He's just moved with his mum from a city to a smaller town, leaving behind his familiar West Indian community. Without a friendship group, he likes to escape reality by hanging out online in games worlds and chatting to his old mates. Boson is the result of an advanced experiment in quantum physics. When an entity called the Higgs boson is isolated, it manifests as an amorphous, frightened blob which escapes into the internet. Speeding through the web, Boson absorbs much of human culture in a nanosecond, mainly the fun stuff. She takes an androgynous human form that she thinks is cool and hides in Badger's mind crypt server. After a weird but wonderful meeting in a virtual flower bed, she appears in Badger's real life. Boson is very keen to explore the exciting, exotic teen universe, and she sees Badger as her guide. So while Badger likes to escape reality into digital worlds, Boson is desperate to escape virtual worlds into reality. Oops. For Badger, because as an outsider, Boson is here to tell us that, you know what, the world we have is pretty great. For Badger, Boson's oddness, her lack of filter, her androgyny, her neurodiversity, her poor grasp of human emotions, well, it's all a bit embarrassing. But Badger knows that Boson's fearlessness is exactly what he needs. So Boson takes Badger on the adventures of his life, while also showing him with her enthusiasm that teenage reality is the most exciting universe of all. So even though TV and video games are of course ace, because why else would we be here today, this idea is basically one big advert for reality. We need a prime commissioner and new partners, and to get that we want to make a pilot. So you know what I'm going to say? Put your money where your mouth is. Please, sorry, that didn't sound very polite. Thank you for listening. Hope you liked it.
That'll be me.
Yeah.
The quality of these pictures this year is really off the scale. I'm so impressed. And I like anything with a John Cooper Clarke reference in it. Yeah, really good. So I think what I'd like to hear a bit more about is, I can see the promise in the relationship between the two characters, the odd couple dynamic. How are you going to tell those stories over volume? What is your thinking?
Well, so Boson has this, she isn't a superhero or anything, but she has one superpower, which is to create portals where they can escape through to different universes. And the idea of quantum physics with, multiple parallel worlds, plus digital video game worlds and stuff like that, so they can go in and out of these worlds. So basically they have lots of adventures in the teen universe, get into lots of scrapes, usually through Boson's fearlessness, recklessness, not quite understanding the human world, getting them into lots of trouble. Badger trying to run in the opposite direction, and often they use, to escape these problems, she creates a portal and they run into another world. But then what can quite often happen is things can spill through accidentally. Someone can follow them, a dog or an object or something from this world into that world, something from that world into this world, creating havoc in either world. So that's the type of story that might happen. And there's a surrounding group of other characters, which of course I didn't have time to go into, which all feed into the storylines, like their mum's employer, the kids at the school, the headmaster at the school. So that's the story factory right there.
Thanks, yeah.
Thank you. I really thought it was fascinating. I think the actual mission that you have, which is to say the future is not scary, is probably one of the most vital things we can do for our kids' audience today. So that really struck a chord with me. I'm interested on the tone. Obviously, you've got, you're going through different universes, worlds, reality, and back again. How much comedy versus adventure are you hoping to bring to this? Because I think, for me, comedy in particular is a way of decoding the world.
Yeah. I haven't really got an exact Venn diagram of the ratio comedy and adventure, but I guess I'm thinking kind of 50-50. All the character stuff would be comedy, or 90% of it, and then the adventure stuff would be, the going into the different worlds, getting into scrapes, who knows what kind of adversity they might find there, and what kind of creatures they might come against. So that would be the adventure. But also the adventures in real life of them escaping real life situations or getting into scrapes, So the comedy would be the characters, the adventure would be the situation, I guess.
Makes sense. Thank you.
How are they learning that escapism? Are they bringing it back into their current lives and acting on that?
Sorry?
When they go off into their fantasy world, through the portal, and they go off and they have these big adventures, when they return back to their ordinary lives.
Yeah. The thing about that is when I was a kid, I was a big fan of the golden age of sci-fi, the short stories by Asimov and other people, I can't remember their names. And what those stories were great at was they would create a sci-fi world that was basically a parallel of the real world, and it would be saying something about the real world. It would exaggerate aspects of the real world to make a point, to imagine if we took this situation to an extreme, what would be the consequences? And so that's kind of what I'm thinking, what the worlds they go into would have a parallel storyline or situation to the real world storyline, and help them solve the real world storyline, or vice versa. The skills they learn there might help them in there.
And is it a serialized narrative?
Well, I was thinking, there's kind of lots of different aspects to the narrative. So there's what we're mainly talking about here is the linear TV version, but that could have an overarching, like if it was. The thing with kids' TV, you don't often watch it in exact order, do you? Like on Netflix or something. But it could have an overarching storyline, which is the scientists that created Boson are trying to find her, you see. And because they caught her and she was scared, they'd spent a lot of money on the Hadron Collider to find this thing, and then it escaped, so they want to get it back. But she didn't want to be this thing that they were experimenting on, so she escaped. So there's a storyline with the scientists tracking her down into the real world, and to do that they have to follow the trail online, I guess. And so there's that element of peril for Boson. But then I briefly talked about the game thing because I work in games as well. And the whole idea of it, a lot of the idea of it, is that I've never seen a game and a TV show or even a film properly integrated. People talk about this a lot, but they're just done in complete isolation from each other, in my experience. And so with this, the idea is that they would be made simultaneously, and the story would blend between one and the other. So in the game, you could have extra narrative material that wasn't in the TV stuff, and you could have signals that people find in the TV stuff which tell them where to go in the game. Because the game would be a version of Wenlock Hampton, which is the town where they live, and then they find portals in there to go into the different worlds that you see on the TV. So all that kind of thing where the narrative overspills the two formats, because it was basically, part of the futuristic idea of it, because I think that's the way narrative has to go, isn't it? And entertainment has to go. It has to encompass lots of formats. And another idea was, so you'd have linear TV, non-linear game, but you could also have something in the middle. Like on Netflix, they've got Bandersnatch, which is an interactive TV show, and you choose the forking narrative, the branching narrative. So you could have a few episodes that were like that. If it was on a streaming service or iPlayer, I think they'd probably be capable of switching between different storylines. So there's different aspects to things that you could do with the narrative, with the idea.
Very layered. Great, thanks.
Thanks so much, Stephen. Can we make some noise for Stephen? Thank you. Good man. All right, let me just... Okay. I'm just going to actually make sure I read my cards this time. Okay. All right. We're getting there. How are we doing? We enjoying the pitches?
Yes.
I'm loving it. I'm loving this journey we're on right now. Okay. So, where am I at? Number 4. Yes, number 4. Here we go. Moving on. Our final pitch. Coming to the stage right now. We have Nigel, Lovell, and Will Seaward in the house.
Yay!
God, I've got a sense of deja vu. Yes.
Like we've met before.
Here we are. Lovely. We're going to hide.
They can't see us. I'm sure they can't.
They can't. Oh, the clicker. Where's the clicker? There's the clicker. I'll steal the clicker. Okay. Lovely. And... Citizens of Cinema 4, please welcome to the stage 2 time-traveling adventurers, Lord Lovell of Leytonstone and Admiral Seaward of the Sea! Hello!
Hello! Hello, I'm Nigel Lovell.
And I'm Will Seaward, and we're here to talk about the extraordinary time-traveling adventures of Baron Munchausen!
Our show is a live-action, spontaneous storytelling show aimed at people aged 5 to 11 years old. It's based on our multi-award-winning live stage show,
where cast members tell completely ad-lib tales fueled by the suggestions of a live studio audience of children. Imagine Whose Line Is It Anyway meets Jack and Ori. Fundamentally, it's a storytelling game. Each episode, 3 performers from a rotating cast of exciting time travelers,
pirates, astronauts, fabulous hippies,
turn up expecting to meet Baron Munchausen.
The greatest adventurer the world has ever seen.
The world's greatest adventurer.
But the Baron isn't there.
Unless they're hiding in the audience in disguise.
The only way to do is to draw the Baron out.
Through the power of storytelling. Ooh. Each performer then tells a tale with all the details supplied by the audience. The weirder and cooler the suggestions are, the harder it is to finish.
Meanwhile, the other members of the cast help the stories along by throwing in curveball suggestions. For example, Admiral, I think you sing the next line.
Yes. At the end of the show, the audience member who's provided the best, the funniest, the most outlandish suggestions is revealed to have been the Baron all along.
And then decides which cast member will be crowned Storyteller of the Week. It's volatile, it's anarchic, it is tremendous fun.
There might be pirates, princesses, unicorns, dragons, or aliens, or anything else.
The live show is loved by children and adults alike.
We absolutely loved Baron Munchausen! It was brilliant, 5 stars. 5 stars!
We've got a proven track record of success. We've toured the show nationally, and there's nothing like it being broadcast at the moment. It truly is a unique concept.
But it's rooted in the storytelling contest, an idea that goes back thousands of years and spans every culture in the world. Our format is instantly accessible to anyone who's ever heard or told a story.
Which is everyone. We know a lot of you have worked on storytelling projects, shows which rely on unscripted responses from children and interactive entertainment.
And we know that interactivity and audience-shared ownership are the direction everything's moving.
in our show, the audience directly and genuinely contribute to the stories that are shown on screen.
They revel in the power they have over the performers and enjoy the madness they've created.
They're enthralled by the jeopardy and rewarded by the cleverness and dexterity of our solutions.
The show's a real driver in younger children, aged 5 to 7, gaining the confidence to think independently,
while simultaneously helping those aged 8 to 11 to develop the imagination and skills that they will need to become problem solvers themselves.
But it's not limited to the studio audience. Multi-screening is the future. With the huge increase in people using different devices to access media,
and the increased gamification of narrative, we envisage potentially a home audience making live studio suggestions.
There's scope also for a separate future for the stories. 2 years ago, we were commissioned to make a 2-minute animation based on a typical Baron tale.
It scooped multiple awards. Clive Juster, producer of the iconic Mr. Ben cartoons, called it an impressive piece of work in the best traditions of British comedy.
It's not just animation, though. There's huge scope for interactive games,
decide your own adventure type books,
and of course, a live stage show.
Television has had huge success with taking live shows and making series from them.
Our show has the opportunity to be easily syndicated.
The Adventures of Baron Munchausen are well known around the world as a symbol of storytelling and glorious nonsense.
Parents love our show.
Brilliant, really enjoyed it.
I did, I thought it was brilliant. All improvised, excellent show.
Absolutely amazing.
Children love our show.
The most amazing show I've seen in ages.
We love our show,
and we hope you do too. Thank you.
All right.
Wow. Definitely 5 stars. Obviously, you've had a very successful live audience experience. Have you had to make, when you think about it as a television show, have you had to think of any adaptations or ways to bring your obvious energy and enthusiasm to translate into the home environment?
We totally have. Yeah, we've made a couple of changes for the TV version. It's in the live show. It's only a single contest. We've sort of got the double one for the TV. We just trying to find the Baron in the live version. There isn't the contest between the storytellers themselves. And we've had a good old think about the camera setup. We think we could do really fun things with tech, like actually quite simple, achievable, inexpensive tech. But when you take something like a smoke machine or some flashy lightning, and that's based on something someone's just texted in from the Highlands of Scotland, suddenly it becomes magic. It's that.
Thank you.
I need to lie down.
Imagine doing this for an hour for children every show. That's how long the live show is. We envisage the TV to be a lot shorter.
I'll bring a sitting stool when I can see. Thinking about the drama, how you get the drama, because obviously traditional television is a passive experience, and this is really high energy and engaging, and you can see that the kids in the experience themselves are loving it, and if you've got your multi-screen thing, that's great. But as a passive viewer, where is the drama coming from? What is the narrative?
Because the drama comes from the fact that everyone is watching performers almost fail on stage. We do not know what the suggestions are going to come to us. So you are living literally on the brink every time. And that's gripping. That is absolutely gripping, watching someone, are they going to pull this off? We do.
We usually do. But there is genuine peril, and that's part of it. There's the meta story of what happens to the performers behind the costumes.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay. Wow. Incredible. If I was commissioning this, what am I commissioning? So can we just go back to some basics here? How many episodes of what sort of length, and what's the structure?
So it's very, very much non-linear. So it's completely episode by episode. It would be a live studio audience, much like this one. There would be
Younger than this one, if I'm being honest.
You're not wrong. You're not. No, these are 6 to 11-year-olds. There'd be 3 principal performers each time. They would come from a pool, and they'd come on and they would each tell ad-libbed stories. The stories themselves would probably last not longer than 5 minutes. You can get a pretty satisfying arc we found in the show within that. The suggestions would come from the studio audience and from other digital wizardry audience in the rest of the universe means.
Okay, so live studio audience. How much of a role does the animation have? Because clearly it's popular. And how do you cater for this? Obviously, you've got to manufacture the fact it needs to feel vibrant and as of now and driven by the choices in the studio, but we can't do that with animation, at least.
So the animation's kind of an addendum. We put that in mostly because we've just done it. We're kind of at the beginning of the project. There wouldn't be animation in the thing that we're pitching. It's just
it would be live. It'd be as live. Yeah.
Okay.
But
so just like Whose Line Is It Anyway was. So
multiple camera.
Multiple cameras.
And each episode is closed. That's done and dusted. There's no grand finale.
No, absolutely right. Yeah. The animation we thought might be like a second strand.
Because if every media industry, every media company, I think, looks just not at something that is a TV show, but you want to see where you can take it further. So you can take it further through the animation, through making interactive games on the phone as well, all based on the ideas that we come up with.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Right.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yes. Guys, I don't know what's going to happen next, but I do know 2 things. I think we found our hosts for next year.
Thank you.
And it's my daughter's birthday in September, and if you guys do parties, I'm down. Just let me know now, because I was fully entertained there. Now, it's time to get serious and vote. And have a conversation. Before we do that, we need to find out a fantastic fact about Sarah. Did you know she can do the worm? That's a joke.
Really? Is that your fact?
That's a joke. It's because I said for your intro, can you do the worm? And she said, no, I can't do the worm. No.
Can't do the worm.
Sarah is a keen bird watcher. But can you guess what bird she's keen on watching? Anyone? No, it's a puffin.
Bastards, no.
Puffins, am I correct?
Obsessed. Sorry,
yes.
everyone.
There we go. My intel was right. Okay, it's our time to vote. That is slido.com. Put in that code. We're going to have 7 minutes for our judges to talk and chat. We're going to turn their mics off. You've got 90 seconds to cast your vote, and we're going to reveal the winner for your prize first. So if you can give you 30 seconds to get onto slido.com, put in that code there, and then choose your winner. Yeah, when you go in there, you'll see. Yes. Okay, are our microphones turned off here? Yes. You're off the mics. Okay. Your time begins now. You've got 90 seconds to cast your vote on Slido. So, it's now time to reveal the results. Can I say the audience vote, the prize is a free ticket to the CMC 2024. Yes! And the winner of that prize, drum roll please. Here we go. The winner is Dust Valley. Make some noise at Dust Valley. Yes, Dust Valley. Okay. Dust Valley, you're coming back next year. Who knows, maybe with a commission as well. Just don't know. But let's find out what's going on over here. Do I get like a piece of paper or an envelope?
Do you get a piece of paper? Yes.
Can we just like rip something?
We haven't written it down.
We're just gonna.
It was all very hush.
You wanted to say it?
Yeah, it was.
Do you want to say it all at the same time?
Yeah.
Can we do that? The winner.
3. Zeal and Zealand.
Yes!
long way around.
Tito, do you want to just come and stand up and just, thank all your fans in the room? No? Give it up for Tito and her creation. Look at that. Your prize is creative development, audience insight for this. We're going to take it to the next level. This is an exciting time for you. How are you feeling? Yes, love that. Okay, that is the end of the show. Can we make some noise for our judges, please? Make some noise for the team backstage, producers, developers backstage over here, yes. And a big round of applause for our pitchers in the house.